The Somalian community in Minnesota is getting deported. Donald Trump decided to denaturalize and deport a metric ton of them. It's diabolical. If you've been watching the Nuxanor channel for a while, I have been keeping tabs on our homies over in Minnesota. These guys that have been running unbelievable amounts of fraud rings, importing infinite retards, and essentially just kind of ruining the state to a large extent. And I'll be real, this is crazy development. The crash outs are real. They're flooding the streets, and then they're getting deported. It's crazy. It's crazy how this happens. Lock in, everybody. You're about to see something glorious.
Some that are absolutely terrible. I look at this Crockett. This is a very low IQ person. And I look at somebody that comes from Somalia where they don't have anything. They don't have police. They don't have military. They don't have anything. All they have is crime. And she comes in and tells us how to run our country. The Constitution says this, the Constitution. The whole thing is crazy. I feel bad. Some that are.
And realistically, he just says it out loud. And that is where we're at in today's society, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just say the shithole countries are about to get a little more full. Now, I'm going to tell you something diabolical, all right? You have to know a couple of facts. They're important. So, Somalia, Muslim majority country, you have to understand something. The average IQ in Somalia is 69. 69. Now, there's a lot of different perspectives as to why the IQ there is 69. Some would argue it's because of cousin marriage, which is very popular. In fact, over 50% of people marry their first cousins in Somalia. Suspiciously enough, you end up with an inbred population of retards. This is crazy. Now, you're probably saying, Nux, why are you calling them retarded? That's probably a slur or something. No, they have an IQ of under 70. They are literally retarded. So anyway, we imported hundreds of thousands of them into Minnesota. In fact, to the point that they are the ones running the Minnesota streets. It's actually diabolical. Again, this is literally not racist. This is just numbers, okay? Sorry. So, first crazy nuke that ended up getting released. The Minnesota Somali community has been caught funneling taxpayer dollars to terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Not even exaggerating. Overseas by falsely diagnosing children with autism through Medicaid. Now, to be fair, I assume they didn't need to tell their 69 IQ child, that they needed to fake it that hard. Pretty sure they were able to fake it pretty effectively. They were born naturals in the acting game. And look at the insane spike in claims. In 2018, they got $3 million for autism claims. In 2023, $399 million for autism claims. Within the same time period, autism centers skyrocketed from 41 to 328, many of them being in Somali communities. It's a coincidence. It's a coincidence, guys. It's a coincidence. It's not happening. There's no scams coming from the illegals. The illegals are not scamming us. The immigrants are not at all scamming us. Absolutely not. They're not scamming us. They're making our country better. Diversity is their strength. They're enriching our culture. Your tax dollars are being stolen and shipped to people overseas who hate us and want us dead. You should be furious. This is a direct result of careless immigration policies. True. We must ramp mass deportation. True. And halt all legal immigration. Also true. Now, important to note that this is evil. This is evil. It's straight up evil. This actual inbred retard community is scamming us of hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. And they are using that money to fund actual terrorists overseas that want to kill us. You, dude, we've been saying this. They've been calling us conspiracy theorists and racists. All right? They've been calling us racists for saying exactly this. But it gets even worse.
From the City Journal, showing a massive fraud scheme in Minnesota. You have to hear about this. It involves false autism claims, the Somali community, and connections to a terror group. Let's explain over at The Wall. Now, it all revolves around Autism and HSS program. That is Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Service. Now, this was created to help seniors, addicts, and others find housing. But the criteria to enter this program was incredibly loose and therefore easy to take advantage of. It's a fraud and costs absolutely exploding. Just 5 years ago, in 2020, costs for this program were $2.6 million. 4 years later, by 2024,
what happened between 2020 and 2024?
Over $100 million.
What happened between these years?
In the first 6 months of this year, costs are at $61 million, meaning if you double that over the entirety of the year, you're looking at $122 million. In 5 years, from 2 million to 122
What
million.
happened between
Now,
these
watch,
times?
6 people are accused of defrauding HSS, and they're members of the Somali community. But this just gets worse.
It's racist if you notice.
Minnesota's
It's
federally
racist.
funded autism program. Now, several people, and this is an example, a woman in the Somali community are co-conspirators, and they're accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. They brought in families, had them convinced to get their kids diagnosed as autistic.
How do these kids act so well?
Having various social services bid for their children, competing with the size of check that they would get. It didn't matter if the kids had autism. And what happened? Autism claims to Medicaid surged. In 2018, $3 million.
All right.
By 2023, listen here, from $3 million to $400 million.
What happened between those 4 years?
From 41 to 328 in 5 years.
Bro, that couldn't have been because of immigration policies. What? The immigrants make our country better, I was told.
Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad.
What?
That totals $1.7 billion. That is more than the entire budget of the Somali government. Money being sent.
And you're going to tell me they're not parasites? They literally come here to send billions of dollars to their homeland, funding terrorists there.
Most alarmingly, a lot of that money is funneled through money traders, and in the end, ends up in the hands of Al-Qaeda-linked Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab.
Oh, W.
So to bring this full circle.
Oh, hell yeah.
The Minnesota taxpayers are funneling money through fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia, where that money lands in the accounts of Al-Shabaab.
So that's where we're at. I was told that immigration makes our country stronger, but it turns out they're funding terrorists that are retarded. This is crazy. Literally, this is incredible. We are funding people that want us dead. This is definitely one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life. Never thought I'd see that one before, but that is where we're at. But anyway, really glad we were able to clear that up. It gets so much worse.
$3 million in benefits each month in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. The program distributes nearly $70 million in benefits each month in Minnesota alone.
So in Minnesota,
5 Investigates has uncovered audits that show the state did not perform required security checks of the computer system that determines who is eligible to receive this money. It is a discovery that has SNAP recipients like Mateo Halbeben worried about the safety of his personal data. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Yeah, this is so sad. It's personal data. So it turns out the Somali capital of America, Minneapolis, Minnesota, has been defrauding SNAP as well. So not just have they been defrauding people through their fake autism diagnoses, exploiting Medicaid to fund terrorists, but they're also using SNAP to fund terrorists. It's really pretty weird this is happening. But let's not actually look into who's getting all this money, because if you actually look into who gets this money, this leftist's data might be at risk. That's obviously more important than hundreds of millions of dollars of our taxpayer dollars going to Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists with 70 IQ on a good day in Minnesota. This is Ilhan Omar. She is a Minnesotan congresswoman, and she, let's just say, has very interesting perspectives on everything that's going on.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation.
Well, I just showed you a lot of numbers that prove without a shadow of a doubt that they are literally funding terrorists. They are literally terrorizing the nation. Again, this isn't hate to every Somalian, because people are going to twist this to say that I'm racist, when in fact I am racist, but not in this time. All right, this time I'm being very practical. I have nothing against Somalians. I would actually like it if they all stayed in Somalia, ideally. This would be an ideal world. In an ideal world, the Somalians would turn Somalia into a peaceful, democratic paradise and never leave. This would be an ideal world. I want nothing but the best for the Somalians. Preferably in Somalia, actually, now that you ask. But no, they literally are terrorizing the country. Like, without even hyperbole, they are literally terrorizing America.
We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation.
Yeah, they don't. And the proof is they're sending billions of dollars overseas to terrorist groups. If they actually saw themselves as the fabric of America, they wouldn't be funding literal terrorist groups that want to kill us overseas. But they do, because they don't see themselves as the fabric of the nation.
Not only are we not going anywhere.
Thanks for the laugh, bitch.
Not only are we not going anywhere, we are not going to allow anybody to make us feel less Minnesotan or less American.
Yep. Well, this is what we call aging incredibly well. So she says, well, we're not going anywhere. Well, my oh, my oh, well, oh, well, oh, well, oh, my oh, me oh, my. My oh, me oh, well, oh, my. Donald Trump decided to tweet one of the Trump situations of all time. Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Well said, Mr. President. Well said, Mr. This is everything I wanted to hear. Yes, sir. Huge levels of bass never seen before on Twitter.com. This is where we're at. So obviously, Ilhan Omar freaks out. I am a citizen, and so are so majorly of the Somalis in America. Good luck celebrating a policy change that really doesn't have much impact on the Somalis. You'll have to hate. We are here to stay. Anyway, this is Ilhan Omar, who married her brother to get fucking fake immigration fraud papers to get into America. They could deport you, actually, which would be pretty weird. Again, I think it's not going to happen just because I've lost faith in the Republican Democratic establishment. But I think these people need to actually cook. These people need to start slamming the hammer down and deporting the fuck out of these people. Absolutely. What is this immigration fraud? I don't care if you're a congresswoman. No one's above the law. Get out. Get out. Oh my God, it's gonna happen eventually. The question just is when. Now, so that's Trump. That's Trump. Trump decided he was gonna cook. Valid, based. Now, you might remember this story. This is a Minnesota mom, Shiloh Hendricks, who is facing trial now because she called an autistic Somalian boy the N-word in Minnesota. Let's just say that kid was not 5, and now I am almost 1000% certain that that kid was not autistic either. And they immediately said it was an autistic kid because that's the fraud in the entire state. So it was very likely a fake autistic kid. And now they're trying to ruin her life for saying the N-word, even though, dude, you have an entire community that's sending billions of dollars every single year to Somali-based terrorist organizations tied with Al-Qaeda. Zero punishment. A white girl who's getting robbed says the N-word. Freedom of speech. Facing trial. If this isn't fascism, I don't know what is, man. That's fascism, bro. But anyway, it gets even worse. A 77th person has now been charged in a Somalia scam.
The 77th person is now charged in the $300 million Feeding Our Future meal fraud case. Usman Kamara runs a very popular...
Usman Kamara, as you can see, is a straight, white, Christian, American, Zionist Jew. That you could tell just by looking at him.
Grocery store in North Minneapolis on Broadway Avenue called Kay's Dollar Grocery and Deli, or Kay's African Market. That's where federal prosecutors say Kamara claimed to serve 300,000 meals to kids during the pandemic.
Wow, so brave.
The indictment says that never happened.
Oh, no.
And he stole $1 million meant to feed hungry kids.
You mean to tell me that this Kamara guy was a massive scammer that scammed people for millions? Wow. And the 77th person that did it, this person really seemed to have blended into the fabric of American culture.
The feds plan to seize the building where the store is located.
Take it away.
Kamara used fraud money to buy it from his landlord.
I'm Lou Bragoose. Follow for more news.
That's crazy. That is just another case of an upstanding citizen falsely smeared as a guy that that's just insane. It's crazy that this keeps happening. Absolutely insane that this is happening, and we're supposed to not notice. So this is a Somalian sheriff in Minnesota talking about how he's working for the Somalians. And of course he says it in Somalian. We came to this country as refugees. So now we're sending billions of dollars back to the place we're running away from. Makes sense to me. We are working for our own people, says the straight white male. Another racist white cop to worry about. That's why we are different than white officers, because we bridge the gap. That's right. It's so important for these guys. These guys need to become police officers in order to work for the Somalians in our great country. That's right, -4 int, but +10 charisma.
We built that bridge, guys. Ma fahantay marka insha Allah waa mahadsantiin again ogaada askari kasta oo Soomaaliya qaya habeenkii marka hurudaan iyo markana achievetaanba ininka inii taagannahay.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what we're dealing with here. So this is a Minnesota police officer declaring loyalty to Somalia. Well, that's the thing that's happening. $995 million. That's how much Somalians in Minnesota stole from American taxpayers to fund terrorists in the last 5 years, without the federal government knowing or doing anything about it. Remember, the Biden administration wants the IRS to know about every $600 transaction you do. That's obviously important. We have to follow exactly what Americans do. But $1 billion going to Somalian terrorists? Whatever. They're just refugees. They're trying to assimilate into our culture. They're enhancing our culture. They're really coming to make America a better place. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, Trump revokes the legal status of Somalians and people freak out. And then I'm going to show you a video of the Somali crash outs, because it's crazy.
Breaking tonight, President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social that he will terminate the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. In his post, he says the reason is, quote, Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity.
True.
I am, as the President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status, TPS program, for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about the generational rape gangs. Oh, did I forget to mention that when I was talking about the scams? Yeah, it turns out there's other issues in Minnesota as well. It turns out if you import a population from a country, now this is gonna freak you out. Rape was legal in Somalia 5 years ago. I'm gonna say that one more time. Rape was legal in Somalia 5 years ago. And you're going to tell me that they're going to integrate it to get out of here.
Send them back to where they came from. It's over, President DJT. And now we have reached out to Governor Tim Walz for a comment, but have not heard back tonight.
I wonder why.
Somalia's protective status currently runs through March 2026. Now tonight, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar responding to Trump's post on Twitter, saying, I am a citizen and so
for now.
Are majority of Somalis in America. Good luck celebrating a policy change that really doesn't have much impact on the Somalis you love to hate. We are here to stay.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about some bombshell news. As President Trump says, he will terminate the temporary protected status program for Somalis in Minnesota. Now, if you guys didn't know, apparently the Somalis in Minnesota, specifically in Minneapolis, they got some power, right? They have influence.
Yep.
Apparently,
true.
They were pivotal in deciding the recent mayor election.
Dude, that is my by the way, I've told this to so many people. The recent election in Minnesota is one of my favorite elections of all time. You have to watch my coverage of it. It's one of the greatest stories ever.
And
I'll give you the TLDR. Basically, there was a Somali candidate named Omar Fateh who was running for the Somali mayorship. All right, he was running, and he was out there talking about Somalians constantly. And it's a giant Somalian community. And despite the fact that it's a giant Somalian community, and he was the favorite to win candidate, and he went up there preaching all the Somalian policies, he lost anyway. And it turns out there was someone else that got the Somali vote. The Jew. The Jew that was running against that guy decided to gather the warring factions of different clans of Somalians to his side and his banner. And he said, would you really vote? Would you really vote for that Somalian guy? He is part of the Mahmoud clan. You hate the Mahmoud clan for the ancient blood feud. And the Jew managed to take the W. He gathered the Somali clans. He is Lisan al-Gaib. He gathered the Somali clans to his side, and he actually won the election. It was one of the craziest twists of all time. And I just have one thing to say. I hate that ancient Somalian blood feuds are what decided elections of mayors in New York City. However, this was very funny. All right, I'm willing to acknowledge the comedy.
You had sides being taken based off of beefs that originate in Somalia, right? You're talking about tribal and gang affiliations among Somalis, and they voted based off of that.
This is wild. Imagine losing a Somali mayor because of tribalism.
That's right, baby. So some of the Somalians crashing out that the other Somalian clans voted for the other guy. Dude. Like, this is crazy.
Qabil. Yeah, Omar Fati called out to his Somali community and said, vote for me. The Somali community responded, what's your Qabil? Omar Fati, educated, qualified, confused. Look.
Yeah, this guy is definitely scamming someone for autism medication. I'm kidding, I'm joking.
Looks to his left and he sees his opponent, Jacob, being welcomed as Somali.
That's right, he was Lisan Al-Gaib.
Given a...
That's right, this is him. The woke Jew that managed to gather and unite the Somali factions to his side.
Hawiya.
And he went and he danced the Somali dance and he gave his acceptance speech in Somalian. It was insane. It was crazy.
Giving a Somali name. His opponent got clan before vote. Ilhan Omar needed to step in and make a speech.
And they still lost.
Our community turned a city election into clan competition.
Yep.
We came here to be one Somali, and now we're divided into...
Why didn't you come here to be American? Oh, am I actually losing my mind? Like, why didn't you come to America to be American? You came to America to be one Somali, and now you're mad that other Somalian clans are voting against your clan? Like, this is crazy.
Tribes in front of America who don't even know what Qabil is.
Well, you know who does know what Qabil is? The woke Jew that won the election. Oh my God.
This is embarrassing.
I agree, but for totally other reasons.
The crowd, silent. The educated Somalis in the diaspora turn into TikTok and said to the world, we talk about representation.
Why are Somalians in the diaspora educated? The educated Somalians. Listen, stop. I'm laughing. I promise. I'm not. You heard? I'm not laughing. Okay. The educated Somalians in the diaspora were making. Fuck. Shut up, chat. Sorry. I'm trying so hard. They were so mad that they didn't get the representation they needed in America because Lisan El-Gaib showed up and united the ancient factions against them, and now they're all getting deported. I'm sorry. Calm down. Calm down.
We lost because we couldn't represent each other.
Bro.
Yeah, so this
dude, this is amazing. This is insane.
Totally explains why you saw Jacob Frey, who is the mayor.
Look, Jacob Frey, he's a wokey, all right? I'm not going to sit here and make believe I like the guy. It's just one of the craziest. He did a 75 IQ move and united the clans against the 68 IQ candidate that he was against. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Of Minneapolis. He got reelected. He beat Omar Fati, who is a Somali socialist. This totally explains why white liberal man, Jacob Frey, Justin Trudeau Light, was speaking Somali, dancing like Somalis. Basically, he transformed himself into a Somali.
Yep.
Because apparently, he was taking advantage of the clan infighting, right?
Yep.
Between the Somalis in order to win.
True.
Typical Democrat, nonsensical, cringe, pandering for votes.
And it worked.
Take a look.
Assalamu alaikum. Oh my God, I love this. Dude, they got a woke Jew to give a speech in Somalian after winning an election against the Somalian because he got votes from the Somalians. This is humiliating. It is so embarrassing that this is our country, man. It's so embarrassing, dude. But it's also very funny. The craziest thing I've ever seen. Bro. This is like the anti-hero. Like, I can't be mad because at least he beat the other guy who was a nightmare.
Maaga Yegawa Yarub Farid. Doka Magalada. Minneapolis.
God, I can't believe what I'm watching. Bro learned Somalian. Oh my God.
Mahat Senate. Mahat Senate. For all of your incredible work, Mahat Senate. To the great people of Minneapolis. And I say that...
Bro, dude, wait. Bro, dude. Look, I'm not trying to be rude here or anything, but dude, yo. Bro, your parents are cousins. Bro. Like, I don't even want to, like, This is not nice of me, okay? I know it's not, but that's diabolical. That's diabolical.
Very intentionally. Because no matter where you are from, Minneapolis should be a place where you are proud to call home.
Yep.
Whether you are from Bosaso or Mogadishu, whether you are from Hargeisa or Galkayo, whether you are from Getaway or Southwest, Minneapolis is a place where you come to seek prosperity, where you come to raise your family. And here is what this election means. This election means this is a moment for unity, where the entire Somali community can come together and say, this is our
vote against the Somalian candidate.
Our people, this is our city. We are united behind each other.
Yeah.
That is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Pandering off the charts. And that leads me to this story that we got to talk about here. Because again, apparently, not only are these people more influential than you would like to see in the United States of America in our elections, there's a lot of fraud going on, okay? And we got to talk about it because I think this is what kind of preempted President Trump saying that he's going to terminate the temporary protected status program for Somalis, saying that they have to go back. So without further ado, let's get into it.
A big announcement from President Trump about Somalis living in Minnesota.
Tonight, the president posted on Truth Social, quote, I am, as president of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from, end quote. Now, we're working to learn the legality of the president's plan and the potential impact.
We know Minnesota has the largest Somali population in the United States, with the last estimate by Minnesota Compass at more than 79,000 people. Callan Gray is working on this in the newsroom, and reaction is coming in fast tonight.
That's right. Just in the last hour, Governor Walz responding, saying it is not surprising the president has chosen to broadly target an entire community. This is what he does to change the subject, end quote. Congressmember Ilhan Omar also pushing back, posted on X, quote, I am a citizen and so are majority of Somalis in America. Good luck celebrating a policy change that really doesn't have much impact on the Somalis you love to hate. We are here to stay. According to National Immigration Forum, as of October, there were 705 people from Somalia in the U.S. with TPS, and we're working to get the total count here in Minnesota. Temporary protected status is meant for those whose home countries are experiencing civil unrest, violence, or natural disasters. Somali immigrants have been eligible since 1991. The Department of Homeland Security says this was most recently extended through March of next year. Homeland Security has the discretion to designate a country for TPS for periods of 6 to 18 months and can extend it if the country continues to meet the conditions for designation.
See, again, it's like, all right, so you came from a shithole, so now you're trying to make our country a little bit more of a shithole. And that's fine, because as long as your country that you left from was a shithole, we're going to protect you and not deport you in our country. What?
I just spoke with Julia Decker with the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. She explained typically TPS terminations have to be posted on the Federal Register before the date the country's designation is set to expire. I just checked Homeland Security's website in the last few minutes, and Somalia is still listed. Decker also explained this is not done state by state, so the federal government will have to end TPS for all Somali immigrants, not just those here in Minnesota. The Minnesota
oh boy. You mean that they're going to have to accidentally remove the protection status for all the Somalians in the entire country? Oh no. Anyway.
Chapter of the Council on American.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see what the issue is, right?
True.
They say, nationwide, you know what? It's time to
end. Dude. Yes, we don't need infinite people with protected statuses, actually. Yeah.
This, okay? You got to make your country great, right?
That's what I'm saying. I am praying that Somalia becomes a utopia, a beautiful, glorious land of love and harmony. Love, especially between people that aren't first cousins, ideally, like in an ideal world, where in 2-3 generations from now, the IQ will raise itself all the way up to like 75. That would be a Somalia I would love.
I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, whether it's at the state level, at the federal level. I'm not seeing what the issue is here, to be honest with you.
Islamic relations tonight says this will tear.
But this could affect all the Somalians. Yep. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Listen, not saying anything too rude here. Not saying that instantly deport every Somalian or anything like that. Absolutely not. Not yet. Absolutely not. No way. But we don't need protected status for people that aren't citizens here. That's first and foremost.
Families apart, calling it a political attack based on hateful rhetoric.
Dude, I hate this shit every time. It's like you can't get anything done anymore. It's like, and again, for the record, CARE is it's a Muslim propaganda lobby, essentially. It's like AIPAC, except it's like a billion times bigger than AIPAC, and it's run by Islam. It's actually considered a terrorist group in Texas now. CARE has just been banned from Texas a week ago. So like people are actually starting to pay attention to this.
And urging the president to reverse the decision. But Republicans are praising the announcement. Republican State House Speaker Lisa Damuth, who is running for governor, shared the president's post saying, quote, President Trump is right. Fraud is out of control and unacceptable. Going on.
Hey. If you hate fraud, then you're Islamophobic. Whoa.
To say anyone involved in these criminal.
I'm about to say something Islamophobic. So if anyone, trigger warning to anyone that would be offended by this. Stop fucking your first cousins. Don't do it. Like, just don't do it. Don't do it. Sorry for the Islamophobia. Just had to say it. It's like, don't do it, please.
Activities should be swiftly deported if they are not lawfully present in the U.S. Republican House Majority Whip Tom Emmer tonight thanked the president. Kevin?
Okay, that's Kellen Great. Now, Minnesota's Republican delegation in Congress, including Tom Emmer, shared a letter with us that they just sent to U.S. Attorney for Minnesota Daniel Rosen. And in this letter, they're asking for an investigation into Governor Walz's, quote, inaction and handling of fraud.
They're also asking for Rosen to look into reports Minnesota taxpayer dollars are ending up in the hands of the Al-Shabaab terrorist network in Somalia. A source in the U.S. Attorney's office tells us they don't have an exact dollar amount, however, says, quote, Al-Shabaab controls much of Somalia and imposes a tax on all financial activity in the areas it controls. So a decent amount of feeding our future and other fraud money almost certainly ended up in the hands of Al-Shabaab indirectly, end quote. Stay with.
Yeah. So you see, now you heard that. Now we're going to get into the fraud aspect of this story because, as you guys just heard, apparently our welfare, right, our tax dollars are ending up in the hands of terrorists in Somalia because it's being funneled from the United States of America into Somalia via the Somali community in the United States of America. Okay, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it because I think this is what preempted President Trump coming out here and saying that he's revoking the temporary protection status.
Leaders say Minnesota.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to be controversial here or anything, but I really don't want our taxpayer dollars to go to terrorists in Somalia. I know this would not win me an election if I was in Somalia or if I was in Minneapolis. But yeah, actually not a huge fan.
Grappling with one of the biggest welfare fraud waves in U.S. history. And now counterterrorism officials warn some of that money very likely ended up in the pockets of Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked terror group operating out of Somalia. National correspondent Kaylee Gaskins has the details from Washington.
Is the biggest funder of Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda-linked terror group in Somalia, actually the Minnesota taxpayer? A federal investigator says yes.
Wait, it's actually the biggest recipient of the money being sent to Somalia through these retards? Oh my God, are you actually kidding me? It's like, so let me get this straight, all right? So you got this terrorist organization that destabilized the entire region and they made their country a shithole, all right? So these people had to flee their country because their country's a shithole because of the terrorists. They come to our country to fuck around and shitholeify our country, all right? Let me just try to understand this. So they turn our country into a little bit more of a shithole to emulate their homeland because they love their homeland, which is a shithole because of their terrorists. They take money from us. They scam us out of money that they give to terrorists that made their country a shithole, but we can't deport them because they're refugees from their shithole country. But are we on the same page? These people have temporary protected status because they're running away from a shithole that they are actively funding. Bro, Bro!
First reported by City Journal, which spoke with multiple former federal agents. The U.S. Attorney's Office has charged dozens of defendants across multiple schemes, including housing aid fraud, pandemic child nutrition fraud, and false billing for autism therapy.
Oh, good. They have an entire laundry list of fraud. Billions of fraud.
In total, prosecutors say these schemes have cost Minnesota taxpayers billions of dollars.
Great. Still, there are people. Great. So, remember when, and dude, this is my favorite thing. Every time, like, you'll see, like, Destiny or one of these leftists debating how immigrants are actually improving our country. They will always talk about how, well, actually, you know, you have immigrants that are, like, paying taxes here and there. These guys did not improve our country. All right? So you could shut up. You could shut up, man. Oh, my God. Like, that's why this entire argument falls apart. So, like, I don't care if a dozen of them pay taxes and another 2 dozen of them are on welfare, but they also defrauded us for billions of dollars.
That legitimately could use those resources that are not getting those resources. It's past criminal.
Minnesota is home to one of the country's largest Somali communities. Former state fraud investigator Keish Magan, himself a Somali American, wrote last year that it's uncomfortable and true that nearly all defendants in these major fraud cases come from that community.
Bro, it's so racist that these people are scamming us and we're calling them out. Damn, it is so racist, bro.
They have taken advantage of the most generous country in the world and one of the most generous states in that country.
And according to City Journal, some of the stolen money was sent overseas through informal cash transfer networks. Investigators say once that cash arrived in Somalia, Al-Shabaab took a cut, whether the sender intended that or not.
Pretty much across the board, people that I spoke to said there really isn't a law enforcement solution to this problem. As
terrible take. What do you mean?
As you said, that's simply playing whack-a-mole. People pretty consistently told
me. Yeah, you know, the solution is mass deportations. No one wants to say it because that sounds racist, but no, there actually is a solution.
That, you know, there needs to be a policy change here.
Yeah, the policy is deport them. Like, seriously.
I mean, the solution is to cut the immigration into the country, right?
Yeah, you don't. That's a good idea.
Say, you know what?
Whoa.
You can't.
It's literally a 2-year-old can figure this out. If you had an above 70 IQ, you could figure this out. It's like, well, if I arrest one Somalian guy, another Somalian guy's just gonna scam us. So let's just let them all scam us forever. No. No.
You can't come here, right? Because you're coming here, you're living off welfare, and then you're taking the welfare dollars, tax dollars, and you're funneling it back to Somalia, and is ended up in the hands of terrorists, right? That is the actual solution.
Yeah, that's not
the
good.
Solution is
we
what
don't
President
like
Trump called for, and yeah, I mean that's just what the reality is here.
Claim Minnesota leaders have tiptoed around the issue, fearing a backlash from the state's powerful Somali American voting bloc. In Washington,
yeah, they don't want to be called racist, hateful, bigoted, Islamophobic, right? For telling the truth, right? For calling out the fraud, right? And that's the unfortunate.
True. Listen, I'm going to say something very Islamophobic right now. Again, I really hate to feel the need to do this, but I feel like someone has to. And this is going to be Islamophobic. So once again, if this is something that you can't stomach, I suggest you leave. Marrying 9-year-olds is pretty fucked up. Sorry, I do apologize. I'm sure that I lost a couple of fans there. But it's pretty, like, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, personally. It's not a thing that I like.
The reality about politics is that Democrats, they have to bend the knee to the woke mob, right? The woke agenda, which again allows these groups to participate in fraud openly, and nothing is done about it because they don't want to lose votes, right? Democrats.
I have people in chat saying that that's too far. Listen, I'm not sure if you're being sarcastic, but I mean this with love in my heart. I don't want people in our country that think you can marry a 9-year-old. I don't. All right? Listen, the age of marriage is 9 in Syria. It's 8 in Yemen. All right? I just don't want those guys, to be honest. Like, I'll be real. You look at the rape gangs that are running around in England, and it's like, you know, actually, I get it. If you're importing people from countries that think that that's fine, then it happens, actually, you know?
Want to maintain power and control no matter what, okay? And they will openly allow fraudulent programs in order to avoid voter backlash, because apparently this group of individuals have become so powerful that they're deciding elections in major cities, right? They're basically running Minneapolis at this point. And this is what you get.
The
right?
only way they beat the Somalian guy running in Minneapolis was by uniting the Somalian clans against him. That's crazy.
Allegedly billions in taxpayer dollars being funneled to terrorist organizations. Somali terror group Al-Shabaab taking a cut of millions in stolen Minnesota taxpayer money from welfare fraud scheme. Let's read here. Millions of taxpayer money stolen as part of a series of massive Minnesota welfare fraud schemes may have been funneled to Somalia-based terror group Al-Shabaab, according to a report. The radical Islamic terror group, which is a long-standing ally of Al-Qaeda and considered a threat to U.S. interests, has likely been the spate of scams and sent to Somalia by the criminals.
These taxes will be paid in Florida. I will have you know, these taxes will not be paid in Minnesota. So you are funding a good cause. Every tax dollar that I pay from you is not going to Minnesota.
Frauding the North Star State. City Journal reported Wednesday, citing federal counterterrorism sources. Quote, this is a third real conversation, but the largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer, a source who worked.
The largest funding of the Al-Shabaab terrorist organization is Minnesota taxpayers. Like, I couldn't even write this as like a plot point in a book. It sounds so ridiculous. Like, can you imagine? Sauron's armies are gathering in strength. Gondor taxpayers are the #1 cause of orc cavalry. All right? Like, orc weaponry designed from the Gondor taxpayers. No one saw this one coming.
Federal investigation into Minnesotans attempting to join overseas terror groups, told the outlet. Wow, that is a damning statement. The largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer.
I can't even say this with a straight face. It sounds so stupid. I'm not even like being rude. It sounds so dumb. The #1 funder of this entire terrorist group are Minnesota taxpayers. That's insane. That's complete insanity.
But you know, these liberals are cool with that though, right? They're totally fine with that. Okay, that's the reality of our quote unquote.
It was like the Forge of Isengard, funded by, and it's like, no, dude, this is crazy. #1 donor to KFC is chickens this week. All right, like, bro, what are we doing? Literally, it sounds so stupid. It sounds fake because it's so dumb.
Democracy, right? That they're totally cool with this. Okay, this doesn't bother anybody. That hey, we've let so many of these people into the country that they're now turning around and they're funding terrorists, right? Terror groups in their home countries, right? Quote, there's an issue here that is real, and if there is ever...
Looks like libtards back on the menu, boys.
...that is traceable back to these funds or to people from this area, then the situation will take a whole new set of options.
But what about Minnesota? There won't be a Minnesota, Pippin.
The source warned. Minnesota has been plagued by several high-profile fraud scandals in recent years, the largest being the Feeding Our Future scheme, for which prosecutors have racked up 56 criminal convictions in what they allege was a plot to steal $300 million from a federally funded program meant to feed children during the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, so once again, we have one of these pandemic-era fraudulent schemes, right? These so-called, nonprofit programs, these so-called humanitarian programs that really are just designed to funnel money into the pockets of somebody.
One does not simply walk into Somalia and fund Al-Shabaab. No.
Liberal organizations, these liberal activists, and in this case, you got money being funneled to terrorists, right? Amazing. In recent months, the Minnesota U.S. Attorney's Office has uncovered multi-million-dollar fraud schemes targeting the state's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services Program and a federally funded Autism Services for Children program. The state's top prosecutor believes, quote, billions of dollars in taxpayer money has been stolen as a result of
this is
fraud.
Crazy.
Quote, to be clear, this is not an isolated scheme. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson said in September when announcing the first charges in the autism fraud scheme, quote, from Feeding Our Future to Housing Stabilization Services and now Autism Services, these massive fraud schemes form a web that has stolen billions of dollars in taxpayer money. Each case we bring exposes another strand of this network.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just thought of the most diabolical joke of all time. Oh my god. What does the tester say to the Minnesotan when he's about to take an IQ test? You shall not pass. Oh my god. Listen, I didn't mean this. Okay, it just came to me. I don't know. It was funny.
Challenge
All
is
right,
immense,
okay.
but our work continues.
Damn. Oh god. I'm crying.
Former fraud investigator Kayesh Magan, I
don't usually laugh at my own jokes, but that was terrible.
Somali American who had worked in the Minnesota Attorney General's office, noted in an op-ed last year that it is, quote, uncomfortable and true that nearly all of the defendants in several Minnesota fraud cases, including Feeding Our Future, are from my community, the Somali community. The fraudulently obtained welfare funds make their way to Al-Shabaab through the untold millions of dollars in cash remitted by Somalis in Minnesota back to Somalia through an informal network of money handlers known as Hawaii. The outlet, quote, we had...
All right, we got the idea. All right, basically, the Minnesotans have been funding Al-Shabaab. They are the #1 funder of terrorism in the entire Minnesota, in the entire Somalia. Cool. Anyway, let's look at the Somalians erupting over the fraud incident and the mass deportations.
Tonight, the legal status of some in Minnesota's Somali community is in question after President Trump announced last night he was terminating temporary protected status for Somali migrants in Minnesota due to fraudulent activity in the state. Now there are calls for the president to reconsider the action. Our Richard Reeves speaking with people who are directly impacted about their concerns, Rich.
Yeah, Callan, people in the Somali community definitely worried tonight. Our state has the largest Somali population in the country. The last count from Minnesota Compass showing nearly 80,000 people. It's estimated less than 1% have TPS. Still, there are fears about the future.
Woke Jew goes to a group of Minnesota clans. I would have followed you, my brother, my captain, my king. That's where we're at. That's where we're at in society. It's crazy. It's shocking. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking that this is politics in the United States.
So this has been very scary. A lot of people are very fearful.
Board member Khalid Omar says there are several members here who are in the Somali program. Some have lived in Minnesota a decade or more. The notion that President Trump might terminate the program has many worried.
At this moment, the only thing that can defend is the court of law. That's the only thing that can defend us.
What do you mean defend us? Like these, I'm sorry, man. It's so frustrating because you guys should be sucking the toes of America, kissing the feet of our nation. All right, you're not citizens. You're under temporary protected status from some nebulous threat in Somalia, so you're just here forever, okay? You are not an American, all right? Get out of here. This is insane. And so imagine this. You're running away from your country to come to ours. You're not a citizen here. We're only letting you stay here temporarily because there's a terrorist organization there. Turns out you're scamming us to fund the terrorists that you're running away from. I'm sorry, you're not entitled to our money. You could cry about it.
She said, I don't know where I go.
We spoke on the phone with a Minneapolis woman whose niece fled Somalia 2 years ago. She says the 23-year-old now has TPS status, but unsure about the future. Is she afraid she might be taken out of the U.S. and sent back to Somalia?
She said yes, because Somalia is scared of something, so still I'm scared to go there.
For TPS
That's not English.
holders, this is their worst nightmare.
Jaylani Hussein.
Again, I'm sorry. We have a country that we need to run. We cannot be the world's piggy bank. We can't, all right? We have a country we need to run. If it turns out we have a community that's been defrauding us for billions of dollars, giving money to terrorists while claiming that they're so sad and they can't go back there, like, bro.
Spain, with the Council on American Islamic Relations, fears families will be torn apart. Children born in the U.S. are citizens, while their parents may have...
The campaign, the thingy of American Islamic Relations is CARE. The place that was just banned, the thing that was just banned from Texas, by the way.
Have TPS status.
So most of the families impacted are mixed status, or some citizens, some on their way to being citizens. So
become citizens. Become citizens. Like, what you expect the okay, dude, I understand. I understand reading is not a strong suit in Somalia. However, it's called a temporary protected status. You were here for years, okay? On a temporary protected status. It's temporary. It's in the name.
This will definitely be a family separation policy.
The aunt of that.
It's a family separation policy. This is so sad. You could stop with your emotional gaslighting and manipulation. I am not your parent, okay? All right? Get out of here. Oh my God. We shouldn't arrest the rapist murderer because, well, you know, it's separating families. Literally. Oh my God.
A 23-year-old says she hopes President Trump will have a...
By the way, you should know that this temporary protected status would have never been removed if they wouldn't have been scamming us for billions of dollars. Billions of dollars, okay? You know, you should have really thought that maybe there would be consequences to that. This is your fault. And I'm so tired of this. And I will not sit here and be woke scolded.
Change of heart.
I wish he changed his mind, what he's saying, because America is a dreamland and everybody wants to stay.
Yeah, I'm sure. It is a dreamland and everyone does want to stay. But while you guys were here, you scammed us for billions to fund terrorists. Like, with all due respect, this is your fault.
The people.
Supporters say the TPS program is a lifeline and a legal pathway to residency in the U.S. Hussein notes that the Department of Homeland Security has not yet formally terminated the program, and there could be legal challenges. That 23-year-old woman we mentioned in the story says she's already seeking advice of an attorney, Callan.
Okay, thank you, Rich.
Why are you mad? Why are you mad? Why you deport? Why you deport? Come on, get out of here, bro.
Wait, so we got to talk about the Somali community out in Minnesota once again, because they have erupted in panic and fear over President Trump's latest announcement that they got to go back, right? They got to go back to Somalia because, as we talked about, the Somali community is now under a microscope by federal investigators due to alleged fraud schemes that have been run by the community to funnel taxpayer dollars, welfare dollars, back to terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab in Somalia, okay? And there's an ongoing federal investigation. Amid this ongoing federal investigation, the president has decided that, you know what? You got to go back, right? We're going to temporary protection status for the Somalis. And that is something that President Trump announced. And now the community, the Somali community, they're panicking, right? They're losing their minds over what President Trump may do to crack down on the fraudulent schemes that allegedly are coming out of this community in Minnesota, a community that now has a lot of power and control over state and local politics, okay? You see these politicians, mainly Democrats, white liberals, pandering hard to these individuals, right, in order to get their votes, to get their support, because they've grown that powerful, right? They're basically
crazy,
running
man. It's
a
insane.
mafia-style operation in Minneapolis, and that is what's happening. So, again, they're in full-blown panic over President Trump deciding to end a temporary protection program. And I want to talk about it because the indictments are also coming, right? They're also indicting Somalis left and right over these fraud schemes involving welfare. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
In other news tonight, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem was in the Twin Cities today, and tonight Noem says that there's no final decision made yet on whether to terminate the temporary protection status for the country of Somalia.
Well, I mean, that's not what the president said. The president said he's ending it. So, I mean, there should be a final decision soon. Now, I already know that
These people are insufferable.
Judge is gonna step in and
every time, dude. We need to do something about this, man. Like, we elected Donald Trump to be the president of the United States. He is the democratically elected president by the majority of the country, and he can't do fucking anything because of these bullshit judges. Like, it is insufferable. Look, man, Trump needs to get so much more draconian and radical with his shit. It's insane.
So you might as well go ahead and get it out of the way, because we know a woke judge is going to step in to do something about it.
Every time, I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but every time a woke judge blocks a Trump order, I feel myself getting a little more radicalized, a little more nudged towards fascist, okay? I'm not a fascist whatsoever, but every single time, maybe I'm a theocratic fascist, all right? I might be a theocratic fascist, but I'm not a democratic fascist. All right. So realistically, every single time this happens, I'm nudged a little bit more.
And get the court battle going, because that's what's going to happen. We already know what's going to happen. We've seen this playbook time and time again.
TPS is a program that was always meant to be temporary.
It's a program literally in the name. TPS literally stands for temporary protected status. But the Somalians think that means infinite time to scam our country. sorry, leave.
That is put in place, and I believe for Somalia over 30 years ago, and will need to be evaluated to make sure that it comes and is always implemented in the process for which it was intended.
According to a congressional research report, there are 705 Somali individuals covered by TPS nationwide. Minnesota has the largest Somali population in the country. Somalia's current temporary protected status extension runs through March of next year. Meantime, many Somalis gathered in Minneapolis today to publicly voice their opposition. Fox 9's Leon Purvis joining us tonight from Minneapolis. And Leon, what are they saying about the president's proposal?
Well, Kelsey, many people gathered at Carmel Mall, the heart of the Somali community, to support one another.
Manta, 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 Omani waiting, manta, 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 manta.
Look at these white liberals, bro. Look at these white liberal boomers.
Dude, these guys.
People will never, ever, ever stop embarrassing themselves.
Embarrassing us. Dude, the next generation is going to be crazy. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid here, but the next generation is going to happen, and the old generation will die out. And when that happens, this country will change radically. The swing is going to be insane. The swing to the right. It's going to be insane. The Zoomer Waffen are going to take over, and it's going to be insane to see. And it's going to happen in our lifetimes. Oh my God. Again, not rushing this for any of these people. I think these people are just like vastly delusional. And I love how he's like white liberals. No. This is white female liberals. This is the white Karen invasion. All right?
Oh, man. Oh, see, these are the people that they're supporting essentially the downfall of the old country, right? This is what they're supporting, and they have no clue whatsoever, right? They're rallying with these people like they Somalis. Anyways, President Trump, what they should do.
They're not Somalis. They're failed feminists. They are what the feminist system failed to create. These people that fight for cringe empathy. All right, I'm going to break this down for you. All right. Women are fascinating creatures. Truly beings that can never truly be comprehended. Some of the most incomprehensible beings ever to be created. Now, these brilliant and fascinating creatures that honestly make the world a much, much better place, and also a worse place simultaneously. These people were designed by God to get married and have children. Now, if that doesn't happen, because some radical feminist told them it's much better for them to become girl bosses and not do any of that, they end up like this. They need to put all that empathy that they were supposed to have for their kids somewhere else, right here. This is where the empathy goes. And for the record, I think men are supposed to get married also and have children. So I know this. I know I was turning this into like a woman thing, but men also, same idea. Except the difference is I think women are much more empathetic to children and receive from the husband, whereas the husband is a much more of a giver to the wife. Anyway, that's kind of how I think this is supposed to be designed. Because that's how it's always been throughout all of human history. And the proof is in the pudding. These women are all miserable. Like, these are miserable women. It's crazy.
They need to be reviewing the legal status and the visa status of all of these individuals, right? There needs to be a thorough review of what's going on in the community. Most importantly, the amount of welfare that's going into the community, food stamps, Medicaid, right? All of these.
It's horrible. Again, I say this not because like anything negative to women. Like I want you guys to be happy. I want women to be happy, obviously. Look, I know. The woman in my life, who I love with my whole heart, is amazing and makes my life better, without a shadow of a doubt. And I also know without a shadow of a doubt that I make her life better, infinitely better, because I remember her before we really started to get to know each other, and she is infinitely happier now. And the reality is, that's just where we're at. That's life, okay? Again, I don't like revealing too much personal info, but that is the secret sauce to life. Give everything to your wife, and she will respect the hell out of you. And then after you have kids, she will give everything to those kids, and she will be truly fulfilled. And so will you. It's actually pretty simple.
Programs that these individuals are allegedly taking advantage of in order to funnel money back to Somalia, which again is ending up in the hands of terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab. Yeah, that's a huge problem. There needs to be a thorough evaluation of what's going on here.
Carmel Mall was packed on the 4th floor with people from the Somali community and people coming out in support. On Friday, President Trump said that he would immediately terminate temporary deportation protections from Somalis living in Minnesota, blaming them for fraud in Minnesota.
We're not here by accident. We're here to stay forever.
There are currently 500 Somalis in Minnesota living with these protections, of 700 nationwide. Many expect this to be challenged in court, but in the meantime, Somalis here say they are fearful of what's to come.
People are always going to be fearful, but we're telling our people we're greater than fear. We have resilience. We're people that are brave.
When temporary status is revoked, federal laws...
We are a people that are brave. Anyway, we ran away from our country, and now we don't want to leave. Yep!
States it can't take effect earlier than 60 days after publication of that notice, and it has to come from the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem.
What the president is doing is un-American.
It's un-American! Are you kidding me? Dude, like, you can't even make this up. It is un-American to want to deport people that are scamming our country that are here temporarily. Are you kidding me? To quote Proverbs 18:22, whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. All right, I'm just trying to be honest here for a second. Okay, that's where we're at.
It's not Minnesotan.
Proverbs 31:10, a wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Genesis 2:18. The Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. That's right, baby. Yes. Every time. Every single time.
The Protected Status Program for Somalis was launched in 1991 by President George H.W. Bush. It grants protections to eligible people who can't return to their homeland safely due to civil war or natural disasters.
What we decided to do is to bring our community in the heart of in the Somali community here in Minnesota, which is Carmel Mall, to show that, you know, our neighbors are with us, Minnesotans are with us, and we're all together in this fight.
There's no word yet on if or when the removal of temporary status will take place.
All right, we got to do it ASAP, now, yesterday. Let's go. Get him out.
But experts say if someone is under temporary protected status from Somalia, to check with them on legal counsel to see what their options are.
It's un-American. It's un-American.
We're live in Minneapolis. Leon Purvis, Fox.
Yeah, so with that being said, you have Somalis, in this case a Minneapolis store owner, getting indicted in the Feeding Our Future fraud case, right? So we have indictments that are also rolling in while the Somali community is panicking over President Trump's announcement.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Julie Nelson.
And I'm Rena Sturgeonopoulos. We begin tonight with yet another suspect now indicted in the massive Feeding Our Future fraud scandal.
The Minneapolis grocery store owner is the 77th defendant charged in that extensive scheme. And prosecutors allege he has ties to other suspected fraud as well. Lou Ragoose joins us now with our top story. Lou?
Julie and Rena, 45-year-old Usman Kamara owns Kay's Dollar Grocery and Deli, also known as Kay's African Market, on Broadway in North Minneapolis. According to the indictment, the USDA disqualified him from participating in SNAP 10 years ago because of suspected fraud. And now he's charged in the largest pandemic fraud case in the nation.
Mr. Kamara, do you have any comment?
Yes, sir.
Usman Kamara is the 77th person charged in the massive $300 million Feeding Our Future fraud case. According to the
The
indictment,
fact that the first 76 guys didn't make national headlines, and it's only the 77th guy that actually make us start talking about it, is insane.
during the COVID-19 pandemic, Kamara claimed to serve more than 300,000 meals to children out of his small grocery store in North Minneapolis. Federal prosecutors say Kay's Dollar Grocery and Deli, also called Kay's African Market, had already been disqualified from participating in SNAP because of suspected fraud. Now, a grand jury indictment charges him with stealing about $1 million meant to feed hungry children.
The owner is also charged with wire fraud, using more than $200,000 of the fraud money to buy the building where his store is located.
If I own this building and I want to be here for the next 20, 30 years, nobody can keep me.
So this is a straight, white, Hasidic, Jewish, Christian Zionist?
No, it's mine.
NPR News interviewed Kamara in 2020 after he defended his store from rioters after the murder of George Floyd. Now, since he allegedly purchased the building with fraud money, the indictment says it's subject to forfeiture.
Bro, they're taking the building back. You see, I am not a fan of the government possessing people's property. I would just make the argument that this isn't even his property,
so the feds can recoup some of the funds. However, past cases have indicated that other money referenced in the indictment, including a $90,000 wire transfer to Hong Kong, alleged bribes paid to a Feeding Our Future employee, and funds spent to pay off Kamara's credit cards, is likely gone.
So the Feeding Our Future worker who allegedly paid $87,000 in bribes is charged, but that person fled to Somalia before the very first indictments came down. Wow. Of the 77 total defendants, 56 of them have been convicted so far. Julie.
Wow. So I noticed you said 300 million in fraud now. We used to be saying 250 million, and now we have 77 defendants. Do you know when this ends, the number of defendants, dollar amount?
Well, the U.S. Attorney's Office has not been definitive on that. We do know of specific people that are suspected of participating in the fraud who have not been charged yet. We don't know if they will be charged, but we do know that the U.S. Attorney's Office is also heavily looking into the autism fraud and the housing fraud. We expect more to happen with that very soon.
All right. Thank you, Lou.
It's complete and utter insanity. Complete and utter insanity. Well, and obviously you get all these goobers getting together. The orcs have gathered together to talk about why they in fact think that it's un-American to ask the orcs to leave the Shire. That's right. If you ask the orcs to leave the Shire, then you are un-American. If you are against billions of tax dollars getting stolen and funding terrorists in Somalia, you are un-American. Thank you for joining. Hope this was entertaining. I'm entertained. Very excited to see future crash outs. You're un-American, orc. See you in the next. Not calling this guy specifically, personally, individually an orc. Well. Are you not entertained? One simply does not walk into Minneapolis, Minnesota. All right, see you in the next one. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.